KSI versus Tommy Fury, a fight for legacy. Tommy TNT Fury, an undefeated professional boxer of the historic Fury lineage, going into the ring against the Nightmare KSI, one of the biggest YouTubers of all time and the undefeated king of YouTube boxing. Someone's always got to go, as stakes are at an all-time high for both guys when they clashed in the Battle of Britain on October 14th. This fight came around as soon as Jake Paul lost his undefeated professional boxing record on February 26th of this year at the hands of Tommy Fury. KSI still tried to make that mega fight against Jake Paul, which obviously has so much build up for so many years, but that ended up falling through as Jake Paul announced that he was set to fight against Nate Diaz instead. So KSI decided it's time to step up the levels, challenge himself, and take on Tommy Fury, as this is what he wants for his legacy. He wants to conquer YouTube boxing, be the best, and retire as the GOAT. Tommy Fury has a lot of the advantages going into this fight, especially on paper. Tommy Fury is quite younger at 24 years old, with KSI being 30. In their face-offs, Tommy looks to be about a couple inches taller than KSI, and that's not even the biggest physical advantage Tommy Fury has. He's way bigger than KSI in terms of weight. This fight's at a 183-pound catch weight, meanwhile KSI is used to fighting at 175 to 180 pounds, and Tommy Fury is just a much naturally bigger guy between the two of them. And Tommy has some really long arms, an 80-inch reach compared to KSI's 76-inch reach. And it's not only the physical advantages that Tommy Fury has, but also the fight experience and that resume. Tommy Fury with 9 professional fights compared to KSI with only 1 professionally recorded fight. Tommy Fury having grown up in a boxing environment, going into the amateurs, turning pro, having 9 fights. But that doesn't tell the whole story. Just because Tommy Fury has the edges on paper does not mean he's going to win the fight. We've seen countless upsets in combat sports. So let's get straight into their actual fighting ability and skills that they have. Straight away, Tommy Fury is a more traditional boxer. He has a higher guard. He has some good technique. He likes to stick behind his piston-like jab, a very sharp one. And he's more or less a combination puncher. In his last fight against Jake Paul, that's how he won. That's how he was able to overwhelm Jake. He swarmed it with combinations, and not just 1 or 2s, but 3, 4, 5, 6 punch combinations. But just because Tommy Fury is probably the more technical fighter between him and KSI does not mean he doesn't come with his flaws. With his low guard, there are a lot of openings for big right hands, which is probably what KSI saw in his last fight against Jake Paul. He was getting hit by a lot of overhands from Jake that he probably shouldn't have been getting hit with. And especially that lead hand from Jake Paul was doing great work. The left hooks were connecting, the jabs. But Tommy kept his composure under the bright lights, under the big stage, under all the pressure. And he got the job done in a split decision against Jake, but KSI is going to come out here looking to do damage, looking to hurt Tommy Fury, overwhelm him with his pace, his pressure, and his power. As KSI has adopted a very unorthodox but also active style, he's constantly coming forward, constantly putting pressure on his opponents. That's what we saw Tommy Fury kind of do against Jake Paul, so if someone's able to walk Fury down, we haven't necessarily seen Tommy Fury on that back foot or even really hurt at all in any fight. But KSI knows what he's going up against. He's going to be looking to get those openings against Tommy Fury. He's not going to really be out there and trying to outbox him. In KSI's last fight against Joe Fournier, KSI was so wild that he ended up throwing an elbow or forearm in the clinch, which finished the job in very controversial fashion, and that fight ended up getting overturned to a no decision. But in terms of legal shots, he still does have knockout power. We've seen KSI with multiple knockouts now. He knocked out Face Temper with a left hook, darting in and out of range with a karate blitzing style. And even a guy who has a similar build to Tommy Fury, way bigger than KSI, Logan Paul, he was able to drop him with an overhand right. And that was against all odds where KSI was an underdog. A lot of people didn't think he had any chance against Logan Paul. But Tommy Fury is a different level of boxer and a completely different puzzle that he's going to have to try to solve. With KSI not being a traditional boxer, we see in his last fight, he doesn't want you right in front of him. In his last fight against Joe Fournier, where he's comfortable out of range, is 2 to 3 bodies away from his opponent. That way he's able to dictate the fight when he wants to come in and blitz into range. We've seen in that fight, even when he's pretty far from Joe Fournier, he's able to land something on him. But with that style, if he continues to do the same things and show patterns against a guy like Tommy Fury, who is a traditional boxer, he is a pro, and he's seen a lot of things in the gym, he's probably going to be able to make those adjustments and those reads and potentially time KSI coming in, especially because KSI's guard is pretty much non-existent, especially out of range, which is okay on the outside. Obviously, he doesn't need to have a high guard at all. But after throwing shots, putting combinations out there, or just staying in range at all, it's much more dangerous for him because his main defense and offense comes from his legs. And that may sound weird to some of you. How can your legs even be defense? But that's what KSI and his team have been working on. You see him in all of his fights, bouncing, keeping on his toes, being active, and mixing it up, giving different looks, switching different angles, which sometimes a guy who is more unorthodox than a traditional boxer is going to be even harder to figure out. For example, in Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul, Jake went out there and tried to outbox Tommy Fury, but KSI is going to be approaching this fight in a completely different way, in a completely different sense, which can either help him tremendously or hurt him pretty dearly. Both guys have very low hand styles, but Tommy Fury is very active with his lead hand especially. Always throwing something out there, and that's how he's going to look to dictate this fight. When KSI tries to come close, Tommy Fury is going to be leading with that jab and obviously trying to plant something coming forward. Both guys want to make a statement, but especially for KSI, if he wants to win this, most people think that the best way to do that will be by putting Tommy Fury on the canvas or at least hurting him. The boxing careers for both of these guys are very much at risk in this fight. Both guys are undefeated. Tommy Fury has that reputation, that Fury lineage, and the stakes of his Fury name at risk. If he loses to a YouTuber like KSI, it's definitely not a good look for him, his career, and his aspirations to be a world champion. And if KSI loses to Tommy Fury, even though I feel like he doesn't have as much to lose, that will set him back regardless, and especially with his persona similar to Jake Paul, a loss definitely wouldn't benefit his career by any means. The tallest guy KSI had to come up against was FaZe Temper, who's a 6'4" southpaw, another guy named Tommy, and KSI was able to set him up, put him onto the canvas. He's kind of used to dealing with some bigger guys like Logan Paul, having fought him twice in the beginning of his career, and now stepping up fighting Tommy Fury, the half-brother of the heavyweight boxing world champion. One thing about KSI though is that he has that X factor, that determination, that will to win, just the want, the desire. In KSI's mind, there's absolutely nothing that can get in his way. He absolutely needs to win this fight, and we've seen in a couple of his fights his heart and just the aptitude of being a fighter. He is a dog, but it's going to take more than just that to be able to beat Tommy Fury. With KSI, he's growing with each fight, making incremental changes and rapidly changing. Obviously, he's pretty new to boxing, so with only a couple of years of experience under his belt every single year that he does box, he's going to get a lot more experience in 1 year than someone who's been doing it their whole life. But Tommy is still young and he is still green. He has a lot of things to work on, but that potential is there, that boxing background. He's explosive with his combinations. He has very good feints, he mixes it up, and he isn't that one-dimensional, but he is still a novice in pro boxing, where in influencer boxing, he's elite. KSI, especially early on in this fight, is going to be explosive, try to catch Tommy Fury. Those early rounds are especially going to be when he is most dangerous, when he is fresh, when he is alert. Tommy Fury has to stay composed, be able to handle the pressure, and overall this fight will tell us a lot about where both guys stand. Is KSI really on that level to be able to match and rival the likes of Jake Paul, Tommy Fury, etc.? Or does he maybe need more time? To him, there's no doubt, and that's what makes this fight so exciting. KSI wanted this fight. He didn't need to take it. There were other options out there. He could have waited and fought Jake Paul, but he decided it was time. KSI versus Tommy Fury, a huge step up in competition. Against all odds on paper for KSI, the height, the weight, the reach, everything in favor of Tommy Fury. But historically, that is where KSI thrives, under the pressure, being the underdog. Up until this point, KSI has really not fought anyone on the level of Tommy Fury or anywhere even really close. So the unknown factor is really intriguing. Is he going to bring something to the table that Tommy Fury has never seen before? If anyone's able to do it and pull off the upset in this situation, it could be KSI. We'll find out on October 14th in Manchester on the huge prime card, a stacked night and a big event. I'm personally super hyped for this fight and excited for this entire card. Let me know your predictions in the comments down below. Do you favor KSI being able to pull off the upset, or Tommy Fury doing what most people think he will in outboxing KSI? Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn your notifications on to the channel if you enjoyed.